So this will be the introduction video to my aircraft build series. A little about me first. I'm from Utah. I have a wonderful, amazing spouse who allows me to do whatever adventures I want, and most of the time participates in them with me, which I've learned over the years is pretty valuable. I have 5 children, which are very amazing. They also enjoying the ventures with me, which is also a blessing. As far as my background, I started out as a cabinet maker 40 years ago. I worked in my dad's cabinet shop, loved it there, built tons of cabinet projects, furniture projects. Then I moved on to general construction. I had framing crews, the general contractor. Then when things kind of recessed in the 07, 08 area, I went into doing some fix and flips. I bought several homes, did the repairs, I resold them. And then after that market kind of tapered out, it was hard to find projects. I opened the cabinet shop back up again, and I've been doing that ever since for the last 4 years. We are a cabinet manufacturing company. We don't simply buy box cabinets from China or other places, put them together and install them. We actually build them from the bottom up at our place here in Provo, Utah. So anyway, as far as my background in aviation, I got my pilot's license almost 15 years ago. I always had the intention of buying an airplane and flying different places. I've always been drawn to aviation. Started looking for different airplanes that I would maybe want to purchase. They were actually not too expensive right after that recession. You could get pretty good buys on things, but I never quite found anything that was what I wanted. I almost joined several flight clubs where they owned several airplanes that you could choose from and take them out on a reduced hourly basis than renting. Never pulled the trigger on any of those. 4 or 5 years ago, I was visiting with a friend of mine, and he mentioned the fact that he's building an airplane, had built a couple prior, and was working on one right then, and it got the mind spinning, the wheels turning, and I realized that, you know, I've built a lot of projects. I've never built an airplane. I have built a camper trailer from the ground up. I've in the process of converting a MCI bus into a motorhome. I've built tons of fine furniture with mortise and tendons, and I've wired houses and electronic stuff from the bottom up, and I've done a lot of welding with aluminum, steel, so my background is pretty extensive. I just never had thought about it in an aircraft way. But anyway, so then I started looking for some kits. I thought, well, maybe we'll find us a kit and we'll get moving on with that. And the more I sat down and jotted down a list of things that I wanted from an aircraft. And, you know, those things are, I wanted something with at least above a 150 cruise so I could travel in a timely manner and get places. I didn't want a heavy fuel burn, so I felt like, you know, we could go use the plane a lot and not be burning up thousands of dollars in fuel. I want to be able to take 4 people. I'm a people person. Most of the things I enjoy doing, I think they're more fun with more people. So the 4-person was a requirement. I started watching different videos, and the Icon 5, the MVP, some other airplanes like that, and I thought, you know, it'd be amazing. You open up avenues of places we could go and explore and camp and spend time if we could land on the water. Then I was watching some videos of bush planes, people to the backcountry flying, landing on remote airstrips in the mountains next to rivers, on little islands, and I thought, you know, that would be awesome too. That would be amazing. That's the kind of flying I would love to do, or those be able to travel a decent distance, get somewhere, be able to land wherever I'd like, well, pretty much wherever I'd like, enjoy places people don't get to see. So taking those things into account and searching for an airplane, a kit, I wasn't very successful. I mean, there really is nothing out there in an amphibious type of airplane that holds 4 passengers. There's only 1 or 2 total, and they really don't fit the bill that I'm looking for. They're either too big, bulky, expensive to operate, huge fuel burn, or they're 2-seaters. That's kind of the option when you're looking at amphibious aircraft options. And so I did some research. I've talked to some engineers. I've talked to some different people who have made airplanes, and although I know it's a huge project, and I know I've had plenty of naysayers telling me that, trying to explain to me how big of the project it is, I understand that. But I think I'm going to build a one-off airplane. We actually have some preliminary plans in place. It's doing some wind tunnel and performance work, engineering work on it right now. We actually are going to name the airplane Halcyon, which is a prehistoric bird that flew across great oceans. And anyway, so that's kind of where we're headed. It's going to be a year before I have plans and structural build for the airframe. We are going to do, at first I thought I was just going to do strictly fiberglass and do kind of the Burt Rutan layup routine, sandwich layup routine, but the more I've done it, the more I've researched. I think I'm actually going to vacuum bag the whole aircraft, make molds and vacuum bag that. I have access to the CNC for mold making, and I think that way we can make it a little more accurate, a little less weight, and a little stronger. And we're probably going to go with carbon fiber on most parts of the aircraft. Anyway, so I've been watching a video. Well, then I started looking at power plant. Well, what kind of a motor would I put in it? And my friend from Idaho said he's putting a Mazda 13B rotary in his airplane. So I actually am familiar with that motor. I had one sitting in my garage that had dune buggy aspirations written on it. So I started exploring and doing some looking into that Mazda 13B engine as far as use in aviation. And the more I looked into it, the more I'm impressed with it. Its weight to power to weight ratio is amazing. The space it takes is really small. It'll allow me to have a smaller engine cavity on top of the aircraft, where I'm going to be in a pusher configuration. I read all a bunch of stuff about converting it to aircraft use. I have most of that all locked down now. I'm still working on for sure which direction I'm going to go with the engine controller for EFI and induction. But that's the motor I've decided I'm going with. I've actually torn it apart, inspected it at this point, and we're good to go. I've got a friend at Turbo Labs in Orem who's working with me on the turbo. He's both worked with rotaries and he's in aviation, so his background is perfect. And he is working on that for me right now. And we are actually working on the motor. I've been watching some other videos from builders, and people are asking them, how do you get your airplanes done? Most people have their airplanes sitting there for years and years, and the main answer you get is, if you get it done, you need to work on it. And so they make a goal to work on something on the airplane every single day. And so that's what I've been trying to do. I'm trying to make, although I'm still in the drawing stages on a lot of it, I don't want the stuff I'm doing just simply to be looking at some stuff on a computer. I'd like it to be some actual functional stuff. So I have torn down the motor, I have inspected it, I have read Paul Lamar, Tracy Crook, several other people who have worked with the Mazda in aviation, and I'm working on modifying and doing those adjustments on my motor that I can. I will be sharing those videos shortly. I wanted to get this introduction in place. I will try to put together a video every week on the process and where we're headed. I do appreciate any input, any suggestions. I know that it's a monumental project I'm taking into, but you know, that's what I want. That's kind of the direction I've decided I need to go. Excuse me. And I'm also very interested in maybe putting a little larger wheel and tire on the normal. I know I need to be retractable for amphibious reasons, but I would like to put a little bit better strut type suspension, a little bit bigger tire and wheel, so that although I'm not planning on landing on the rock-filled mountaintop, I would like to feel comfortable landing in some remote strips also. So that's kind of the direction I'm heading. That's where my designing is going. I'm not an engineer by trade. I have an amazing guy I'm working with who's working with me on the design and the engineering portion. I think once I get to the build portion, it'll be right in my element. I'll be ready to go. But I'll keep you updated on where we're at. I'm going to try and do something on it every day and post a video every week of where I'm at and what's been going on. And I'm really looking forward to this endeavor, and let's get it done.